No peace. Questions. In the west, the story plays out again. The Jotun invade and the Empire pushes them back. The Jotun are gone from Surma-Suak, driven out by an alliance of imperial strength and Thule cunning. But further south, the situation is much less cut and dried. The Cinnabar Hills exert an irresistible lure to the warlike Jotun, mithril and white granite to fuel their endless conquest. But each time that they gain a foothold, they're thrown back. This time, it's the Lasambrian Jotun who seek to claim the hills. Will they fare better than those who've come before? And what of Bregisland? Matilda Fisher claims the Western Marshes as her fiefdom, and the Jotun honour her claim. There is resistance, but will it be enough? And further south still, the fires of war come once again to Liathavan. The weakness of the Valorn presents an opportunity for the Jotun. What will it mean for the Marchers, now they stand once again at the very threshold of the morn? Red Hills. The plains and fields of Gambit are already dry again. No sign remains of the storm rains that battered the Cinnabar Hills last season. After early victories, the Lasambrian Jotun were driven back by Imperial forces led by the brutal Navarre armies. Now the Empire seeks to finish the job, to break the Orcs and force them back into the Western Hills. The Blackthorns, Isaela's Dance, and the Quiet Steppe lead the way. Merciless, neither asking for nor offering quarter, the Navarre aim to sweep the Lasambrians out of Karaman on a tide of blood and venom, ready with spear and bow to kill as many Orcs as they can, to take no prisoners. They drive westward past newly liberated Ryota through Gambit. Servitors of the Spider Queen, or Halligan, join the Quiet Steppe as they prepare to slaughter the Lasambrian Jotun, a handful of heralds and a single warband of hooded and cloaked allies of the Centipede General, offering boons of venom and ambush to those prepared to fight alongside them. The armies of the Brass Coast, the Fire of the South and the Red Wing Corsairs, supported by the garrison of Braden's Yassi, fight to liberate the Western Plains, to liberate Karaman from Lasambrian rule. Granted clear sight by Imperial magicians, the Fire of the South aim to ensure that no Lasambrian forces slip through the net cast by the Navarre, moving steadily west across the dry plains of Gambit. The Corsairs, in contrast, range ahead of the main Imperial force, seeking opportunities to take hostages for ransom. They have their work cut out for them, needing to reach the Orcs before the Navarre can cut them down. Heralds of Cathan Canay support the Fire of the South, tattooed warriors wrapped in the skins of bears and wolves and less identifiable creatures come down out of the mountains of Cerebriante, down from a citadel of ice and black rock conjured by Imperial magicians. 5 Imperial armies, and yet, in the end, they face precious little resistance. The Lasambrian Orcs and their Skjaldarborn allies are gone, having delayed only long enough to gather up their injured from the battlefields near Ryota. The Lasambrian armies quit Karaman in good order, retreating quickly to the west, quitting the Empire for the hills of Rhinos. The Orc armies are gone. A few warbands lag behind, more interested in challenging Imperial heroes, though. A couple of supply depots are left garrisoned, too slow to join the main retreat, and they do at least try to hold back the irresistible tide of Imperial soldiers. A few fall to the Red Wing Corsair raiders, and the rest are swept away by the Navarre. By the winter solstice, Karaman is unequivocally Imperial once more. The scars still remain. The destructive strategy of Stephen of Sarcum, put into operation during the summer solstice, has made travel through the northern mountains all but impossible. Passage through Serra de Marta, Cerebriante and Braden's Yassi has been brought to a standstill. Caravans of white granite and mithril are forced to travel laboriously south into Gambit and Jade Range before travelling east, increasing potential peril from raiders and bandits. The systematic destruction of roads and bridges heavily impedes the ability of the Braden's Yassi garrison to patrol those West Mountains. A great deal of work lies ahead to restore the already crumbling infrastructure of northern Karaman. Yet, for now, the orcs are gone. The territory is liberated. Karaman is free of the Jotun Lysambrian, and people can begin to rebuild their lives. Again. Lonely Waters. Matilda Fisher survived her visit to Anvil, and for now she rules uncontested over the marshes of Bregasland. In practice, her dominion extends only as far as the Jotun patrols that support her. They might claim that the Jarl of the Bragas is in charge, and indeed she's established her court at Fisher's Rock, but her household could not hope to hold the swamplands without their assistance. Their every move is resisted by soldiers of the Strong Reeds and the guerrillas of House Greywater. The Marcher forces are ready at a moment's notice to go on the offensive again. For now, they lie low and focus on harrying the Jotun forces and those Bregas who've thrown in with Matilda. Orc attempts to root them out have proved ineffective for now. The Strong Reeds are too adept at avoiding crude attempts to lure them out. While there may be little in the way of open fighting, a different battle is being waged. A battle for hearts and minds. With the aid of former Mornwalders loyal to Stephen of Sarkham, the Fishers work to convince the people of Bregasland that they're in a better position now that they've been freed from the tyranny of the Empire. And while it's slow going, there are those who will listen. Even with the priests of the Marcher Assembly urging them to ignore the Fishers, there are those who'd rather take the path of least resistance. It's not enough to say yes, you have to say no, as one old gnomic parable has it. And there seems to be a number of households prepared to embrace the quiet life rather than fight. The Bregas have always been an odd people. For now, though, the marshes of Bregasland appear to have settled into a quiet status quo. The Fishers try to sway the Bregas to their way of thinking. The Greywaters and the Strong Reeds resist them. The Jotun watch the borders, preparing as best they can for the Imperial counterattack they must know is coming. Deep Woods. There's little Imperial presence in Liathaven. A few scattered stridings and steadings and some garrisons protecting West Ranging and West Wood, and keeping an eye on the squirming Valornheart. With the fall of Bregasland, those garrisons have become particularly isolated, although the recent uneasy detente with the Fenny of Liathring and Liavan's Glen has allowed contact to be re-established in recent months. A heavy winter curse, Wither the Seed, still hangs over Liathaven, further discouraging Imperial citizens from making their homes there. Shortly after the end of the autumn equinox, even that precarious contact suddenly goes quiet. A messenger expected to arrive at Green March fails to arrive. The Jade Hill River Striding, whose long and winding route takes them through northern Liathaven during the autumn months, fails to arrive at Brockheath Market for the first time in, well, since anyone can remember. For those in the know, it feels like a rock has been thrown into the still pond and the first ripples are beginning to spread. Then the survivors appear, stumbling into the Fenny-held northeastern regions. A great host of Jotun has swept through the western woods of Liathaven, overwhelming the limited resistance and conquering West Ranging and West Wood. The Navarre who managed to make it to the Mornwald report that there are two forces. The Lysambrian Jotun, recently in Karaman, have come down from the Lysambrian hills into Western Scout, while a matching force of Jotun have smashed through West Ranging from Grey Fens. Both regions are quickly subdued, both the Navarre and the scattered Valorn spawn raised by the heirs of Turuniel during the recent troubles. The Jotun are not done, however. Once West Ranging is secure, the Jotun forces combine and push eastward. The Feni do their best to resist, but are unable to stand against the grim-faced orcs. The Jotun capture Liath Ring, and less than a month later, they overwhelm Hotter's Mire. Left with nowhere to flee, the Feni retreat into seclusion, hiding in the regio of northern Liathaven, taking refuge with their patron Eternals. The last reports, brought to the Empire by a handful of merchants trading with Hotter's Mire, indicate that the Jotun are already preparing to fortify Hotter's Mire, planning white granite walls to transform it from a makeshift settlement into a citadel. They also speak of summer warriors among the Jotun, a host of knights and squires from the fields of glory, and describe the Jotun as an irresistible wave. There's been comparatively little loss of life, at least among the Imperials. Despite the Navarre presence in western Liathaven, the territory is very far from being Imperial. There's no information about how many casualties there may have been among the Feni. Given their numbers and propensity for hit and run, rather than pitched battles, it seems unlikely that they will have made much impact on the Jotun army. Wherever possible, though, the Jotun have slaughtered any Navarre they can find, and seem to struggle to differentiate Feni from Navarre. Few, if any, people are receiving the choice in Liathaven. Liathaven has fallen silent. The farmers and miners of the Mournwald, human and orc alike, look to the western forests with trepidation. Last time the Jotun forged a path through Liathaven, it was a prelude to the invasion of the Morn. Game information against the Jotun. The Empire once again controls the whole of Caraman. During the summer solstice, the Lassambrian Jotun enacted a plan detailed in the One Tree at a Time Wind of War. Consequently, travel through Serra d'Amata, Serra Briante and Braden's Yassi is greatly impeded. Campaign armies now struggle to move freely between Braden's Yassi and Serra Briante, or between Serra Briante and Serra d'Amata. This makes it impossible to attack more than one of these regions in the same season. Furthermore, any fortification in Serra Briante, Serra d'Amata or Braden's Yassi is only able to defend the region it is in, and it won't provide any benefit in either of the other two regions. This situation will persist until the Empire is able to commit the time and money needed to repair the roads and bridges. You're going to learn more about the lingering problems in Caraman in the Winds of Fortune. The Strong Reeds remain in Bregisland using their special Lay Low order with the support of House Greywater. As long as the Strong Reeds continue to take the Lay Low order in the territory, while the Greywaters remain free to help them, they will prevent any enemy army from being able to resupply, but will be able to benefit from both natural and emergency resupply themselves, even if there are hostile forces present. Furthermore, as long as the Greywaters continue to harass the Jotun, Greyfens has the Allied Insurgents quality. It's similar to the Under Threat quality, but benefiting the Empire, which means the Greyfens will count as being a beachhead, even though their entire territory is in Jotun hands. There is an additional unexpected benefit that arises because the Strong Reeds were in the territory when it fell. Even though the territory is now entirely in Jotun hands, the army is not forced out. The general of the Strong Reeds can continue to give the Lay Low order. They are not forced out of the territory. This benefit will remain until they move out of the territory, give a different order, or lose the support of House Greywater. And apart from Liath's Heart, the entire territory of Liathaven is now in Jotun hands. The Feni there are scattered, and it appears that the Jotun are using the settlement of Hotter's Mire as their base of operations. The good news is that they appear to be dealing with the Valorn spawn roused by the heirs of Torunio. The bad news is that they're also consolidating their hold on the territory by executing any Navarre who fall into their hands. As of spring 381YE, there are assumed to be no NPC steadings and stridings in Liathaven. The small Imperial presence in West Ranging and West Wood has been crushed by the Jotun, but any player character steadings or stridings are considered to either have avoided the attention of the Jotun for now, or are under siege. Conquered territory penalty now applies to Liathaven. halving the production of any personal resource held by characters in the Athavan. And finally, the Trods of Leathavan remain in tatters. The presence of the Jotun is not likely to make restoring them any easier.